Welcome to another installment of the Yale Center for British Art's Reframed video series led by our cohort of undergraduate student guides. My name is Rebecca Wasserman and I'm a sophomore at Yale. This is my second year as a student guide at the museum. And as you may know, the Center for British Art is currently closed while undergoing a variety of exciting renovations. In the meantime, although the building itself is not open to the public, we are pleased to continue exploring the collections using the wonderful and extensive YCBA collections database. And on that note, I'm eager to begin my presentation titled Unbraiding a History, Depictions and Uses of Hair in British Art in the 16th to 21st Centuries, which will provide, as my title suggests, a brief glimpse into a variety of hair-related objects in the museum's vast collection. I want to start with one of the oldest works in the YCBA's collection. Here we have an allegory of the Tudor succession, the family of Henry VIII, an oil panel painting with an estimated date of 1590 and an unknown artist. So just to situate ourselves historically, we're at the very end of the 16th century. This is the only painting in our collection to depict all of the Tudor monarchs in one image. In the piece's center sits Henry VIII, the second Tudor king of England, passing the sword of justice to his son, Edward VI. And on the other side of the throne is Henry VIII's daughter, the Catholic Queen Mary, and her husband, King Philip II of Spain. It's a notable cast of characters, to say the least, and all are presented here in one snapshot. To be very clear, the scene pictured in this painting is an explicitly fictional one. None of these historical figures could have gathered together all at one time at the ages at which they are presented in this painting. There's much about the painting that could be interrogated, and it's one of our collection's most significant works. But for the sake of the scope of this presentation, I'm going to jump right into what strikes me most, which among the collection of figures is the Protestant Queen Elizabeth, just to the right of center, whose rendering is rather distinct from the rest. To begin with, she's the only subject presented in regal dress, but it's more than the clothes themselves that differentiates her. The coloring of her face and of her form are lighter and less opaque than the others. There's this ethereal quality to her. But if we zoom back out, it seems that all of the figures on the right hand of the painting are portrayed with this lightness and delicateness that we see right here. There's consensus among scholars that the fundamental message conveyed by this painting is one that asserts the legitimacy of the Protestant succession in England. The piece takes on a clearly Protestant bent, favoring its depiction of Elizabeth and Edward over that of the Catholic Mary. And as further symbols of contrast and succession, all the way to the left of the painting and in motion is Mars, the ancient Roman god of war. Far right and adjacent to Elizabeth, on the other hand, are the figures of peace and prosperity. So it's this very unambiguous rendering in which we see the figure of peace as she steps directly on a sword. And if we look at this piece from a perspective, the perspective really, of contrast, other distinctions between the two sides of the painting begin to emerge. So both the hairstyles of the Catholic Mary and of Elizabeth are neatly pulled back and represent just a small element of their appearance. But Elizabeth's red hair is painted with a brilliance of color that Mary's is undeniably not. Her hair, like the garments beneath it, are distinctly flat and brown. The left side of the painting becomes this sea of muted, neutral tones. To be clear, also, Elizabeth I's iconic red hair was not, of course, limited only to its rendering in this particular painting. Her auburn hair was known to have influenced hairstyle trends at the time, and in so doing, actually served as a catalyst for the creation of red hair dyes, which were likely at that time made using sulfuric acid, rust, and lead. There's evidence to believe that men at the time dyed their beards red to match the queen, and legend has it that even Elizabeth's royal horses had their tails dyed red to match. But Elizabeth actually wore wigs for most of her life, and although it's likely that her natural hair was also red, the brightness in the hue of her red wigs was certainly an intentional fashion choice rather than a natural characteristic. One of many interesting notes about Elizabeth opting for red hair, and I'll zoom in here just so we can see her rendering this painting more clearly, is that it was a hair color that had long been associated with barbarians, a reputation that traced back to the ancient Greeks and their interactions with tribes along the Black Sea. I should really say barbarians in air quotes. And of course, the red hair had been leveraged as stigmatization and otherization of the Irish and of the Scots. Significant too, for me, to the impact of Elizabeth's red hair is the paleness of her skin. Much like the painting itself, the power of the coloring lies in the contrast of her hair against the skin, the contrast of Elizabeth against Mary. At the moment, this painting is undergoing tedious restorations at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Manhattan, and fingers crossed it will be returning to New Haven next spring in time for the museum's reopening. So to me, it would feel wrong to discuss representations of hair in British art and in the YCBA's collection without at least pausing to mention this piece. So this Malay painting of a young girl blanketed in an officer's jacket is one of the most famous in the YCBA's collection. John Everett Millais was one of the founders of the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, which was a group of mid-19th century English painters, poets, and art critics who were inspired by Italian art of the 14th and 15th centuries and sought to return to a style of painting unlike that which was celebrated at the time in London's famous Royal Academy. The heroine of the opera that Millais based this work on is Marie, the offspring of a secret liaison between an aristocratic Englishwoman and a French army officer. After her father's death in battle in the Napoleonic Wars, Marie is adopted by his regiment. And so here, again, zooming in just so we can see that rendering more clearly, Millais represents not a scene from the opera, but rather one of his own invention. This is an incident from her earlier life, Marie's earlier life, in which amidst combat in a church, Marie has been wounded and lies sleeping on a knight's tomb. So this artist in particular had a well-documented habit of portraying redheads in his work, and as did the group of pre-Raphaelites as a whole, whose work articulates, I would say, a near obsession with portraits of redheaded women as desirable, sensual, youthful, attractive, really, figures. So that ends the brief note on the pre-Raphaelites and their redheaded interest, but definitely worth a mention. I'm pivoting now to a work unlike the two we've just looked at, and one that receives far less attention among the objects in the YCBA's collection. I think it's always exciting to highlight some unexpected pieces, and that's what I'm hoping to do here. So it may not immediately be obvious why this portrait is a significant hair-related piece to select. And it's not because of the portrayal we see here of the gentleman's loose blonde curls that we're looking at. As some background, Thomas Hargreaves is the artist here. He was an English miniature painter born in Liverpool. Several of his miniatures were exhibited at the Royal Academy at the end of the 18th and the beginning of the 19th centuries. And this watercolor is actually on the face of a rose gold locket containing a lock of hair. Returning back to our theme there. The subject of this watercolor is unknown, but the genre of work of lockets containing locks of hair is well established. So I will reveal here the intersection with hair. So now we're looking at the back side of the locket, the watercolors in the front. For the Victorians, tokens of hair like this one held tremendous dignity and significance. Hair had a potent symbolism, and in particular, locks of hair are a ubiquitous Victorian era artifact that were most often encased like this in lockets or rings or framed displays. They became treasured items imbued with intrinsic worth and value. As an adjacent historical note, while we're on the subject of the Victorians and hair, the Victorian era also featured jewelry composed of human hair, so not only containing it, as this locket does, but made of it. Funerary practices at the time incorporated the braiding of hair into necklaces as a way of remembering those who had died. And a morbid truth, sort of to frame it this way, of hair as a medium is its accessibility. Because it's inexpensive and fairly abundant in volume, lockets and other items containing hair could easily be distributed throughout families. Locks of hair could simply be cut from the deceased and disseminated that way. And to really ground this issue, the primary driving force behind hair's place in funerary and grieving practices was, unsurprisingly, Queen Victoria, who, after her husband Prince Albert's death in 1861 by typhoid fever, wore mourning lockets and other jewelry for decades. Her prominence at the time really popularized the use of hair in customs of grief and of mourning. So what we're looking at here on the left side is one of Victoria's lockets. As we can see, it opens to reveal hair on the one side and a photograph of Prince Albert on the other side. Both are underneath glass. And that was one of the lockets that she wore following her husband's death. And then on the other side of the screen, on the right-hand side, we're looking at a picture of another locket belonging to Queen Victoria, but this one had been gifted to her by her husband, Prince Albert, and it was to honor her mother. So the engraving that we see all the way to the right on the back side of the locket translates to "You were our joy and happiness." And again, like the locket on the left side of the screen, and like the one that I started this conversation with, there's a lock of hair contained within the jewelry. In these lockets, as well as in that first one that I initially displayed, which was in the YCBA's collection, neither of these are. I've just pulled them as reference images to understand the historical context at the time. In all three of these items of jewelry, these hair-related items of jewelry, we see hair not in its desirability or attraction or beauty as it was to Queen Elizabeth and certainly to the Pre-Raphaelites, but rather in its tactility, which is why this seemed to me a truly significant contribution to this conversation about hair and the YCBA's collection and its various significances. I'm shifting very dramatically now to a recent portrait created by contemporary American artist Kehinde Wiley, who graduated from the Yale School of Art in 2001 and whose work is widely known and celebrated. In 2018, Wiley very famously became the first African-American artist to paint an official US presidential portrait for the Smithsonian National Portrait Gallery when former US President Barack Obama selected him for this honor. Wiley's work is known for its subversion of the traditional conventions found in American and in European portraiture. Much of his art situates Black figures in specific in the American and European context that historically have exploited them and excluded them. And in so doing, Wiley aims to disrupt and to reshape our established art historical hierarchies and narratives. So here, to be a little bit more specific, we have portrait of Lynette Yiadom-Boakye, which the UAG and the YCBA jointly acquired just 3 years ago in 2021. And the painting presents contemporary British artist, I should say, Yiadom-Boakye as the subject of a traditional 18th century British hunting style portrait, which is why certain elements of it might look familiar. It's part of the artist's 2017 Trickster series, which highlights major contemporary 21st century Black artists, including very big names like Carrie James Marshall, Wangenji Mutu, and Carrie Mae Weems. So if we look visually, the landscape here is characteristic of hunting style portraiture. Behind Lynette is a pastoral English scene dotted with lush greenery, 5 dead rabbits, and an imposing sky. She's very prominently holding a rifle and is dressed in typical English hunting attire. And there's this palpable, very 18th century idea of masculinity inherent in the genre and details of this work. As the painting's title, right there on the bottom of the screen, might suggest, Wiley modeled this style after one portrait in particular, and that is George Romney's painting of Jacob Moreland, which I will show right now. So what we're looking at here is an original 18th century portrait created by George Romney, portraying a young aristocrat named Jacob Morland. And this piece is not in our collection. This belongs to the Tate Britain. And so here, if we just return to the piece at hand, in Wiley's reimagining of the scene, he replaces the original white male figure of Jacob Morland, just heading backwards. So there we see Jacob Morland. And now we see Kehinde Wiley's presentation. And so he replaces the original white male of Jacob Morland with the Black female artist, Lynette Yiadom-Boakye. This is an image of the Wiley painting hanging in the YCBA alongside other 18th century hunting style portraiture, which really drives home the piece's thesis when you can see all three of those works on one of our YCBA walls. It, to me, really, it nails this critical point, which is the embracing of familiar and racist art historical tropes and turning them on their head. For me, seeing this painting here hanging in the gallery provides a helpful sense of scale that might otherwise be lost in a virtual presentation format like this. But because we're able to compare the piece's size to the visitor standing at its right, you can see that the portrait is larger than life-sized and really just holds enormous power in the gallery space. So I just want to leave that slide up for a moment just to take in how this painting would feel if we were not on Zoom. So returning now to our overarching theme, I want to pay particular attention to Wiley's rendering of her hair. It feels significant that he could have modeled the format of the original painting of Jacob Morland and placed a hat on Lynette, but instead he decides to paint her with natural hair. And for me, it's a potent assertion of female and specifically Black female strength in today's social and political climates which are some way very unlike those of the 18th century and in other ways completely unchanged. In Wiley's own words, Lynette's portrait takes its cues directly from the tradition of British hunting portraits and evokes a new sensibility, temperature, and cultural logic with regards to the Black female body in hallowed space. And with that, I'll wrap up my short presentation on the depiction and uses of hair in British art, spanning from the late 16th century to our current 21st century moment. As with all art historical conversations, I really only scratched the surface here. But I hope that you enjoyed hearing about these works as much as I've enjoyed learning from them. And thank you so much for your time and for listening. I appreciate it.